So in today's news, we're going to be discussing firstly on CannaTech. How does one go about testing for heavy metals? We often hear that cannabis is an aggregated plant, which means it takes on metals quite easily. And in a country where there's a history of a lot of open mining, it is a point of concern because the negative side effects of long-term metal exposure, especially heavy metals, is concerning. So this is usually achieved via two routes. Either you make use of AA, an atomic absorption device, or you use something like an ICP, which stands for inductively coupled plasma. So essentially what would happen is this device would have an ignition source. They generate ions when they heat the sample, and from the spectra they would basically know, using either an OES or a mass spec on the back end of that instrument, whether or not there's a lot of heavy metals in that product or in that sample. For the most part, it's easy to implement cultivation practices that avoids the introduction of heavy metals. However, just to protect human health, it is good to know what is in your sample, especially once it starts to get into consumers' hands and medical patients' hands. Now, in terms of international news, the big one is obviously Milan. Specifically, the city of Milan is busy heavily pushing the Italian government to increase reforms on the cannabis, legislation in the region. We know that from going back into Italy's history, it's one where there's always been a strong history for hemp, and the first commercial licenses were really in military prisons, as an example. So hopefully the Milanese government will make some success and progress in enabling access in the region, especially around Italy. And then lastly, Ecuador also not want to be left out from the push in Colombia, and they are also aggressively trying to get commercial products out. I think recently a company called Ava was quite active with cosmetic products in the region. So I would hopefully see South Africa learn from these Latin regions as well in terms of how to successfully commercialize for industry.